Hello everyone, welcome back to the YouTube channel, and what I would love to share in this video is where to start with Ayurveda. I get asked this question a lot, and sometimes it's coming from people that have never understood or gone into Ayurveda. It may be like, I heard about Ayurveda, how and where do I start with this? And other people come at it from, they had some exposure to Ayurveda, but the network of information, the framework of information for Ayurveda was so overwhelming for them that even if they knew their constitution, they wouldn't know where to start for them. So I want to talk a little bit about that through my own journey, through my own experience, and also through having had the opportunity to work with a lot of people in regard to this. Because for me, there are three things that I start with this. So the first one would be, and this is something that you could make sense of with any framework of knowledge, right? Before you introduce any change, it is really beneficial to understand the characteristics of what you're dealing with. That for me is almost common sense. So before you introduce in Ayurveda any lifestyle or any dietary changes to create balance, which is effectively what we're looking to do with Ayurveda, you have to understand who you are. You have to understand your mental and physical, your biological constitution, which in Ayurveda is called your prakriti. Because if you don't understand that, then any changes that you could make, it's a little bit like building a house on sand. It could work for a while, it might not work at all, but you don't understand why. So understanding the why, understanding the characteristics of who you are mentally and physically before you bring in any lifestyle and dietary changes is the overall starting point. Now, it's the same in permaculture actually. The first principle of permaculture is observe before you interact. It's the same thing. Understand what you're dealing with in terms of your environment in permaculture, where the sun is coming up, where it's going down, what kind of climate am I in, what is the soil I'm dealing with, what's the pH. Understand and observe these things before introducing any changes. And that lends itself towards Ayurveda being sustainable. So the starting point is to understand who you are, your mental and physical constitution, your prakriti. And the second thing is to understand what's happening in the current situation, which is called your vikriti. So you use the knowledge of who you are, which is your biological constitution, to deal with how you are, which is the circumstance at any one moment. It's what's happening right now. Now, for me, there's a third one. It's a bit like Russian dolls. The third one is, and I think this, for me, in my own experience and working with people, I really think this is the juice of applying the right lifestyle and the right diet sustainably. And that is understanding my uniqueness within my constitution, within my current situation. And what I mean by that is, you could have the same constitution as me. You could be, let's just say it's Vata Pitta, and I could be Vata Pitta. So I'm dealing more with Vata, and so are you, let's say. We're dealing with Vata in this moment, the current situation. But you could have a completely different job, a completely different living circumstance to me. You could be living in a completely different part of the world. And therefore, what you need to introduce would have to be slightly different, but with the same theme. Remember, we're dealing with Vata, so it's the same characteristics that we're looking to balance, but we do it in slightly different ways based on our individual way of living, our individual living circumstance. If we take that into consideration, then we can apply the right lifestyle and the right diet in a more sustainable way. So that for me is where to start. Just to recap, it's understanding who you are, your biological, physical and mental constitution, your prakriti, and then within that, your vikriti, which is your current situation, and then within that, how I'm living my life right now. In other words, what are my living circumstances that I can bring in the right lifestyle and the right diet in the most easy, realistical and practical ways. Those are the three places I'd start. That's where to start for me.